Alright guys, on today's episode of Design Principles, we're going to have a look at using colour in your designs, and we're going to sort of unpick how I said a few lessons ago that you don't need to be a really great artist. As long as you know how to use colour and you understand the principles behind it, you will be able to create a really effective and well communicated piece. Okay, we're going to spend a bit of this lesson or this information session talking about colour theory. So colour theory is basically the art of knowing what colours work well together and what colours don't really. And it really heavily uses the colour wheel here, which you'll notice has been separated into warm colours and cold colours. There are some other key vocabulary that you're going to need to know throughout this lesson. So the first one is hue, and when I say hue, I'm referring to a particular colour. When I say saturation, I'm referring to how intense that colour is. And also when I talk about values, I'm talking about how dark or how light that is. All right, and the last little thing I just want to leave you on for this slide is that researchers actually found that color can actually impact 60% of whether the information is accepted or not. So if I look at your design and the colors are pleasing and they work really well together, I'm already more likely to accept what you said. Okay, the first thing you need to know about color theory is that there are color harmonies, and these are the colors that work well together. And there are many different harmonies, but I'm going to teach you three basic ones today. So the first one is monochromatic, and what that means is you use the same color, but you use it in different shades and different values and different saturations. And the reason why that's really effective is that they're guaranteed to match. So for example, you might use a really saturated red, you might use a low value red and a high value red, and those three colors together would work really well together. The other one that you can consider is analogous, and these are colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. So for example, these three colors here, the warm colors, they all work really well together. And for example, another one you could look at purple, and this dark blue. Those three colors work well together. All right. And the last one is complementary colors, and these are colors that are actually opposite each other on the color wheel. All right. So if you were to use purple as your background and yellow for your accent colors, that would work really well. You might even use like orange as your background color and blue as your accent color. All right, those are how complementary color harmonies work. The thing you really need to consider when you talk about, or when you even think about using color for your designs, is what message you're trying to send. So, if you're writing this piece that's supposed to make the reader feel really, sad and empathetic, and you're supposed to really suck them into that whole pathos of your text, then you're not going to want to use these happy, bright colors, because that's giving the opposite message. For example, another example might be if you were talking about, World War II and all the horrible thing that happened to the Jewish people, you wouldn't want to be using all these really happy colors because that doesn't match the information that you're providing. So you want to be really careful about these colors, because the information that they send needs to match the information that you've written. All right, here are some really basic do's and don'ts of color. All right, so firstly, you don't need to have color everywhere. Sometimes neutral colors like black and white and gray, they give balance to your design. I'm not saying that because color's effective, you should just splatter it all over your piece of work. I'm saying use it in ways that create emphasis, or make certain things stand out. All right, like I said, every color sends a message, so make sure your palette matches the color topic. And also make sure there is a lot of contrast between the colors that you picked. So for example, these two colors here, they don't really contrast that well, and then therefore it's harder to read. The words almost blur, or the letters almost blur, and same down here. All right. And the other thing that I want to flag is that you should never pick colors that are really intense, all right, and pair them with another color that's really intense. Because what happens is your brain tries to focus on one. So for example, I'm focusing on this really intense blue color, but then my brain's also trying to focus on this really intense yellow color. And what's happening is it's flicking between the two, which is why it seems like it's almost blurring, and my eyes are darting all over the place trying to work out what's going on. So don't pick colors that are really intense together. Now, if you want to understand color theory a little bit better, these are 5 questions here that you could think about, and you can just pause the video and get stuck into those now.